Good afternoon YouTube, and welcome back to Warwick Road. This is an April 2025 layout update. There has been a long gap since my last video, which was in November, but what with cold winter, family, work, sickness and some glorious weather over the last 3 weeks, which meant I spent most of my time in the garden. I've not had much time in the loft to produce any meaningful content. So today I'm going to give you a very brief layout update with some scenery, some new purchases and a couple of bits that going forward I'll be working on for the next video. So since my last video I made a few purchases. This is one of them, and whilst this is a modern image layout, I still want to run some older locomotives on the layout to haul my custard and cream Mark 1 coaches and my Bachmann Pullman coaches. And I really like this model when it first came out. Obviously I've got one, I've got the green, it's King's Own Light Infantry, I think, 55002. But the one I really wanted was this one, just with the roof detail, you know, the colour of the creamy grey colour on the roof and the silver fuel tanks and the way the bogies are picked out with the yellow and the white. It just looks superb. So I picked this up from a model shop back of last year, I think, can't remember now, yeah, put the crew in it. So I think with my Curascale points I picked up a couple of the sort of late BR drivers in there, but just such a lovely model. Yeah, really impressed with a Curascale with this. But this I won't get any more, obviously there aren't many versions of it, but 2 Deltics I think is enough. But yeah, very nice. So my next purchase was the Cavalex Class 60. I've had many Class 60s on the time of this layout, so I had about 6 or 7 of the Lima Class 60s when it was DC layout, and they were going cheap. You used to pick them up for about 40 quid, and they were nice. I like the look of the Class 60. So then when I went to DCC I upgraded to 4 of the Hornby Class 60s, which obviously were a step up from the Lima Class 60s. I had a couple sound fitted, and I think I flogged a sound fitted version to get when the Hatton 66s came out, but they were nice. And then obviously we got the announcements of these latest 2 versions of the Class 60. I wasn't sure to start with because I wasn't sure how much better the Cavalex version would be, although I am really impressed with Cavalex because I've got a 56. I've got a Hornby 56, which again is nice, but the Cavalex is just a step up in its bogie frame, underframe detail. So I initially, by the time I'd made my mind up, a lot of them had gone, so I only wanted DCC ready. So I got this from Key Model World, and I am so impressed with the Cavalex Class 60. It's a massive upgrade from the Hornby version. Just the underframe detail, the bogies on the Hornby aren't brilliantly portrayed, but this has got, obviously everything's, a lot of stuff is moulded, but the attention to detail they put on the bogie, the underframe, the engine room, and the cab is outstanding on this. I can't really get, because the light's not brilliant up here, but just the detail in there is superb. And the really clever idea of the buffer beam detail, I don't have to fit any pipes or anything. If it's on display you can have the full ends, you know, there's lots of variations, but it's just magnetic. Pull it off and put a different one on, which is a great idea. But yeah, I'm just mega impressed with this. Obviously they'd been released, the first batch had been released, and there then came an issue with the noisy gears. So when I got mine it sounded a bit noisy, but I wasn't sure because it was running in. I thought, oh, it'd be alright. But then sort of put a I think it was a Hatton 66 on the rolling road, just to make sure it's running properly. And then I knew straight away that this had the noisy gear issue. And I'd seen a YouTuber, Veilbridge I think it's called, and he pointed it out, and then he directed you to the Cavalex website. So I went to the Cavalex website, and I have to have a big shout out to Cav and Alex. I think I sent the inquiry off about 9:30 at night, and by 10:30 I'd got a response from Alex sending me to the website, which showed me the fix, and they said if I was happy to carry out the work, they'd get it sent in the post. I was happy to. They sent it out in the post, and literally, yeah, a massive difference in the noise and the running. So a great shout out to them for actually identifying the problem and fixing it really, really quickly. So this is a gorgeous loco, and you know, I'm not sure what Cavalex will bring out next, but if it's a fairly modern diesel, I think I'd be in for it, because their models, the detail, as I've said, just brilliant. So this was kind of a purchase last week. So I had seen this at the Great Electric Train Show in 2023 as in the Hornby standard pre-production sample. So it looked really nice. I was talking to the guys there and they were explaining the plans. I think it was due sometime last year, but with these things they always run late. But I was impressed with the detail. It's not really my sort of area, I'd say, but I saw a couple of videos. Then I was out shopping and saw a small model shop with a box in the window, and then I'd gone down to my local model shop on the south coast, and they'd actually got one in a glass cabinet. And as soon as I'd seen it in a glass cabinet, I think it's the guy that does Piccadilly Railway on YouTube, subscribe to his thing, and I'd seen it on there and it just looked absolutely brilliant, superb looking thing. So I've got the 4-car with this weird design with the motor diesels in between the two cars. Yeah, I had to do a bit of saving for this, but the detail inside for Hornby, it's the best thing I've seen modern image wise from Hornby ever. The level of detail this thing has got, absolutely superb. So the only issue I've had with it is it doesn't move. The wheels spin. As you can hear, there's that awful noise, but there's no movement. So I've checked all the wheels, and I think the issue is at the other end. I don't know whether I've got, should just be one power car and one dummy car, but the wheels on the other power car, it should be a dummy, don't move at all. So I think I've actually got two power cars. I'm not sure, so it might have to go back to the model shop and them to have a look, because I'm not sure what I'm doing. And bearing in mind the money these things cost, I'm not going to start taking it apart and having a look. The motor clearly works, but there's just something stopping it from moving, which I think is the other power car. So I'm going to split the unit and see if it drives with just part of it, see if that works. But it's just, I don't know if I can get into the, I mean, look at that, hang on, look at that detail inside there, the seats. I think they're dustbins, little litter bins, all the tables, even got destination blinds. Those couplings work, so if I wanted to hook up another unit, I could. I've not explored, and the instructions are very, very basic. That would be my only criticism of this, considering how complex it is. The instructions are very, very, very basic. I'm guessing you can't get the, I don't know how to get the body off. I guess it comes off, but I don't know how to do it. And again, I don't want to break anything, but I'd like, because it's so well detailed inside, I'd like to get some passengers in there and maybe a driver. But yeah, I'm impressed with this offering from Hornby. It's got HM7000 decoders in, which that again was the first time for me. A bit of a faff to get that all loaded onto my phone. I think I tried for 2 hours and it wouldn't link the decoder, so I switched it off, went and had my dinner. I think I watched the football, came back, switched it on, and I thought I'd have another go, and literally it just seemed to connect. So it's clearly something I was doing wrong. Download the sound profile took about an hour, so it's got all the sounds, but the only thing is I get the sounds on HM7000, but when I use it with my Gauge Master Prodigy, one of the ends reverts to basic steam, which I'm again confused with. But it's hooked up to HM7000 on my phone, so I can use my phone to drive it on the layout. I haven't done so yet, obviously, because of this issue. So if I can't fix it, then I think the best thing to do is just to send it back. So clearly it's a fault, whether it's gears or drive shaft or something, I don't know, but that's a shame. But one of the things, well, I've got the Class 395 Javelin, is actually the detail, the pantograph is a huge improvement. The gangways, just you can clearly see that this has had many hours of design work, and credit to Hornby. They do get some, I mean, I've been critical of them with their modern image stuff over the last few years, wagons and stuff, but yeah, they've really upped their game with this, which hopefully they've set such a high bar now that they keep that going for future releases. So this isn't a new purchase. I've had this for years. I'd wanted one for a while, but couldn't afford the prices at the time because there weren't many about. They were going for silly money at one point. But what happened is I found this online, and it had been very heavily weathered, but it had just been a brown black, had been painted all over it, so it was absolutely filthy. But I actually at the time, with my limited knowledge of weathering, thought it looked quite good, so I bought it, and I think it cost me about £120, and it was DCC fitted. But over the years, obviously, as I've watched more tutorials and been to more exhibitions and model railway shows, I'd seen that it wasn't correct. It was covered. So actually what I did was get a small bottle of like the nail varnish remover, cotton buds, and just started to take back some of the weathering. Obviously what that did is some of the logo started to fade, which was okay because it just showed that it had been a heavy use logo. But then there was no air dam fitted, it wasn't in the box, and this side window by the driver had fallen into the cab, and obviously it's a standard Bachmann driver. So what I did was show it a bit of love. So I got the air dam, found one on the internet, put the coupling, brake pipes, refitted the window. It just popped out a bit of glue. But also, while I had the cab off, the roof off, body off, sorry, just decided to get in and paint the driver. That's all I've done, left him in green, but given him the high-vis jacket. And this is a really nice loco, just need to use it more. So It's still got some weathering, some grime, you can see there. The green underneath shows through, but that's fine for now. I'm not an expert at weathering, but probably a project for the winter, cold nights downstairs, just refine the weathering a bit. So one of the things I did over the winter was take down the old scratch built apartments, and I've kit bashed a Metcalf. These are apartments as well, so I've kit bashed them so half the height, and then some on my own, sort of concrete walling at the back. So the station's had a big upgrade, so there's more signage, more figures, seats right the way along. But what I'd also done is on the platform sides I had scale scenes paper, which was fine. So the top part of those bricks there is the scale scene, but the bottom half was a problem because when I went to ballast the track, any moisture from the ballast, even though I had put some varnish on it where I probably hadn't fully covered it, I'd get blue patches and it would start to bobble. So what I've done is I've put the Metcalf card along there, which is better. Then I've got some of these 3D printed cable hangers, and with some wire I've just added the wires rather than just throw cable trunking everywhere. So I'm really happy with the way that's turned out. So I've done it both sides, you can see there, I've added there all the way down. The only problem I have with this station is these lights. These are 3D printed and they're nice, but the problem is, you can see there, they are very, very, very brittle. Went online to order some more and they're out of stock, or they don't make them anymore. So I've now got to look at an alternative. Other than a few buildings, none of my layout is lit, so I may buy some station lights and then over time I will get them lit. But that will be a major project because I can't just have the station lit, I've got to have everything else lit. As you can see, I'm starting to detail each of the balconies. A few plants, there'll be a couple of tatty ones, so you can see there I've used like some very fine like emery paper for the roof there, and that will carry on here because that doesn't look very good. I think that's some tactile paving paper that I'd use, but it doesn't look very good, so I should go back to that and then I can weather that. So 3D printed seats. Those signs I made myself, but I've actually upgraded the people because a lot of the Chinese figures that I had on here have gone in a box. I think I flogged a load, and these are all from model railway scenes, scale 3D. You can see another bit of the light has broken off there. So another thing I've done is move the signal box from up one end of the container terminal to the other. So I think this is better here. So there's the entrance to the yard. Put a walkway in there. It doesn't show at the moment because it's not lit, but I've got an interior which I've got from Key Model World, signal box interior, and I've got a couple of figures in there, but I've got to get it lit. So it's not fixed down, I've got to get that lit. Then all I've got to do now is just work out scrub and dirt, bits of track, pallets and everything for around the station entrance. So this is the Class 168. So the motor car's downstairs. I keep all the powered units downstairs over the winter and at the heat of the summer to protect the chips. But I bought these from Hatton's, and I think when they were end of production, Hatton's was selling these for about £75 for a 3-car unit. I mean, now you won't get one of these for probably less than a decent one for 150, DCC ready. But the reason for buying these was I'd seen a guy called James Makin who chopped these down and turned them into the Electrostar, which for this layout is perfect because this is sort of southeast, southwest London where they run, especially southeast London. So I'd chopped up 2 of these, but nowhere near finished, probably only about 50% of the way through. But obviously late last year, Accurascale announced the possibility of producing the Electrostar 00 gauge, and now have confirmed that they are going to be doing the Electrostar. So I've got 2 of these Electrostars that are now abandoned projects because there's no point in me spending any time doing any work on them, because obviously in about 18 months time I'll have the real thing. So I've gone for the sound fitted one. So I'm just going to run this as it is, as DMUs, and I'll have to figure out what I'm going to do with the 2 abandoned southeastern ones. Maybe I'll just park them somewhere and have them stabled, maybe in this platform, I don't know, because I've got a 4-car and a 3-car. But yeah, that'll be quite exciting to see the Electrostar, especially with the way Hornby, Accurascale seem to go about producing these models. It'll be interesting to see what it's like. So I did a rework of the Golf scene, so I've now used some rocks in there. And the river side of the riverbed. Fixed the bridge. Taken out some of the trees. I think there was too many trees in there that overcrowded the scene. And I've moved around here and this embankment here. I've made with DAS clay, which was the first time using it. I take a note of the guy that builds a massive 00 gauge layout Heaton Lodge. He uses it for some parts of his scenery, so I gave it a go. It's pretty good stuff actually to work with. Obviously a lot cleaner than using Mod Rock and all that sort of plaster of Paris. But yeah, I'm pleased with that. Just a little cameo scene there, as I am a golfer. I've updated the road scene to add more stuff. So there's pipes, 2 guys digging up the road, a digger, a hole. Just expanded it to make it much more believable. So you've got major roadworks digging up water main, a busy junction. I've also been looking at back scenes. I'm not sure the grey bit works, the grey building, but just to sort of close that end of the layout, because that was just brick and obviously the underside of the loft, so I've just added a little bit of detail there and across there around the back there. So one of the other things I've looked at is this is cast plaster. So buy a mould, bought the mould, about a tenner, and you just buy a small bag of plaster from B&Q, and I can mould my own supporting walls. But obviously, as you can see, there's a lot of it, so I have a view that I might want to change that to a smaller, finer brick, a bit more detailed. So I've got one for a test from Bunter's Yard online, which is very high quality. Obviously it's a lot thinner than this, being like 3mm NDF, but a lot more durable because this stuff cracks easily, especially if I haven't mixed it properly. If it moves it can crack, it's difficult to stick down, so I may over time replace the whole lot with a Bunter's Yard one, and I think I might go for a grey brick rather than a red. I think it will look better, especially with the bridge girders there. But obviously there must be 8 or 9 feet of this stuff, maybe more. It's going to cost me a bit of money, so it's something I'll probably work over the course of the year. It's a big project to do. So one of the things I've got to work out is, in line with the station, is street lighting. But I think what I'm going to have to do is buy all of the lights at the same time, so I don't have the issue I have with the station lights, and then work out whether I want to have them just for decoration or have the whole streets lit. So I've really got to work that out, but I think that's what I've got to do. But try and find a manufacturer that makes different types, because obviously the street lights won't be the same as the station lights, but have them all wired in together. And obviously with a lot of road up the top on the town scene, this bit here and the far end by the other station, there's quite a few lights, so there's quite a lot of electrical work, something that is not my forte. So we'll see. I'm not sure on that yet, but again, that's probably something probably for next year, because I've got to work out how to wire them all up, being that there's so many. That and signalling are not my specialities, and I'd like to get some signals in this layout, but I'm not sure, and I'm trying to find a video that explains not so much what they do, I know what they do, but where they're positioned. So it'd be easy just to stick a signal here and then go, and then someone come back and say that's actually too close to the junction or too far from the junction, and the bits in the track that go with that. So I have to do some research, but I've been looking and I can't find much on signalling at all that's not too technical for me. But my model shop down near Ford Gauge Master, those guys are good down there, so I might just go take my layout plan down there and get them to sit there and make some marks and tell me what really I need, and then we'll go from there. But that's it for this update. Try and keep it short because there's not a great deal gone on the layout. Thank you to everyone for watching, taking the time, appreciate it. Thank you to all those who have subscribed. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, it does help me out, the channel. And thank you to everyone that takes the time to comment, I really appreciate it. And I do answer everybody's comments, whether they're good, bad. So please keep them coming, welcome them. And I will hopefully be back fairly soon with a new update. Thanks for watching, take care, bye bye.